Hello, everybody, and Merry Christmas to everyone out there. What's going on? I hope your Christmas is doing very well, and and your New Year's as well, coming around the corner. Who all we got in the house here? Looks like Auto Salvage Outlaws. What's going on? And right back at you, man. Justin Hill. Merry Christmas to you too. It's a it's another year gone, and another one coming up. JV's Little Shop. What's going on, brother? You got Mr. Lars tied up in the background there? Merry Christmas to you, man. Unfinished project up. What's going on, man? Merry Christmas to you. Mohawk 62 in the house. What's going on, man? And a good old Merry Christmas to you. And to everybody. I just keep repeating myself on that one. So yeah, everybody, Merry Christmas. Let's see, who else? And then we got Old McDonald Has a Car. What's going on, man? Colleen's Little Shop. Colleen TiVo. Good Lord, I got tongue twisted. What's going on, man? Yeah, half pint. You got Triple M hiding over there somewheres? Our Christmas is going great. Out chasing down oil leaks on the Blazer. I seen you got one just popped up, something about Fords. That's the best way to work on a Ford, is go out and find a Chevy to work on. I hope you get her figured out there, JV. Skip's Dark Hollow Garage. What's going on? Great to see you. Yeah, right on back to you. Let's see, I'll get the invite up here now. And it's just like any other. Copy that. And then we'll paste her over here. There we go. Whoopars, Mustangs, and minivans. I knew Triple M be sliding in here sometime. Right in under Miss Colleen right there. Good to see you, brother. Tim Windsor, what's going on? Great to see you, man. Merry Christmas. Let's see, I got to get back over here to YouTube side. Pin that comment. Let's see. Oh, mute tab. Okay. Now open this one up. There we go. One of these days, I'll get this, all professionalized or something. I don't know. Pin that message up to the top there. There we go. There, that's a little easier. Let's see, where did I didn't get lost here. Yep, that's right. 8 more days and we get to find out about the No Name Nationals. Oh, can't forget Scarlet the Four-Eyed Cuda. What's going on, man? Great to see you. For the longest time, that Four-Eyed Cuda was my favorite car of all times. Now, the only thing I didn't quite like about him was the interior. But I'm kind of picky, and in all honesty, no car has ever got it 100% right. But the Four-Eyed Cuda, definitely in the 70s and the muscle car era, hands down best one. Well, the 69 Chevelle SS is real close to it, but yeah, that and I share that one. That, I mean, everybody loves the Four-Eyed Cuda. Just a beautiful car. And we got the doc in. What's going on, man? I'm going to try that cookie recipe. That looks pretty good. I never would have thought about the almond flour in it. That one got me kind of thinking. Definitely going to try it there, Doc, though. B&R Racing. What's going on, man? And right back at you, man. Let's see. I didn't miss anybody, did I? So, what's everybody been doing? Hanging out with family, getting some good cookies down in you? Did anybody else follow Doc's recipe for his cookies? If one of my mods sees that video, go ahead and post up the link up on there for Doc. That is a good recipe. It actually almost follows the original. What's her name? She's credited with that being the inventor of the chocolate chip cookie. It's real close to that. It's all about the chips. I seen that you use Gridaldi. Those are good. And I like the way they melt, or take it back, the way that they don't just bleh into nothing in the oven. Who would have thought a bunch of car guys be talking about baking cookies? Oh, dadgum. That's one of my favorites right there. Shepherd's pie. Tonight will be bigger and better. Sweet. Do you put lamb in your shepherd's pie? I personally, I can't stand lamb. I do not like it. But in shepherd's pie, the ground up lamb, very, very good. I think that's the Scott side of me, the Scott Saxon side. I got a bunch of cookies from Wendy English. Oh, sweet. So I didn't have to make any this year. Both crisp and chewy. Venison, huh? Oh, that's interesting. My uncle used to make real mincemeat pie with venison. Oh man, it just knocked your socks off. Oh, would you look at here? We got Mr. John Wilburn in here. What's going on? Merry Christmas.
Howdy, everyone. Thought I would swing in, if it's okay with you, BareRose, just fast enough to give away a No Name Nationals t-shirt and stickers and bail.
No problem whatsoever.
All right.
Have at it. Floor's yours.
Let's just do this. I'm trying to. All righty, cool. So for whoever's in here now, this is for a No Name Nationals shirt, gray or black, whatever size you want. I'll ship it to you. What was the first year model that Ford introduced a Ranger?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Put your thinking caps on.
What was the first year that the Ranger came out?
The first year model that Ford introduced a Ranger.
Oh, got to get caught up. There we go. Let's see. 67?
I'm watching.
2 for 67. Junkyard D, 68.
I'm watching. Colleen says
55.
36.
Wow. Now there's one that shocks me right there. 83.
I'm still watching. I'm still watching. This isn't a gimme.
66.
I'm still watching. I'm still watching. You people are all over the place.
That there was.
Oh man, lots of good guesses in here.
And you know what, Doc? I wouldn't have guessed that one.
The
That
answer
one,
is the year. What model year did Ford introduce
the Ranger?
All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give this one to Colleen and Damien because I can't be sure on the 58 or 59 model, but they're right. They're after the Edsel Ranger, and Dr. Art is the one that gave the chat a huge heads up. He should have picked a year. So I'll just, they're the ones that seem to figure that out first. I'm just going to give that to Colleen and Damien. So
Congratulations, Colleen.
Fun
Damien.
stuff. Yeah, let me know what size gray or black. I'll ship it out to you. Merry Christmas. Y'all have a great night. I'm here on location in my Aunt Nancy's place, but I thought I would duck in and spread some Christmas cheer and dive out.
No problem. Thanks a million for coming in, John.
Y'all have a great Christmas. Take care.
It was a guess, huh? I kind of know my Fords a little bit, but I'll tell you what, that one would have went right over me. I totally forgot about the Edsel Rangers. Oh, I'll be dadgum. Look at there. Good jewel from Norway, huh? Thanks for coming in, Eric. All of you that really want to find out how it's fun to hot rod in obscure places in Europe, go check out Eric's channel. He's got some awesome stuff, doing some pretty cool stuff in Norway. Great seeing you, man. And Merry Christmas right back to you. Yep, means Merry Christmas. Oh crap, that was the 60s. Yeah, as soon as he said Ranger, my head went right straight to pickup. I would have lost that one. So what year was it? 58, I believe. As soon as he said it, then it clicked. Oh yeah. The Edsel I actually liked though was the Citation. No problem at all, Eric. What time is it over there? Let's see. Be 7, you're 8 hours ahead? I'm trying to think where Norway is on Greenwich. I think that's Greenwich. Time zones. Good Lord, they get really complicated. Just past midnight, huh? Sweet. GM1. Okay, yeah. Isn't Edsel a different company from Ford? Uh, a division. It's just a division is all. Kind of like, Mercury, Lincoln. It was supposed to be the in between Mercury and Ford. Ford was just the general run of the mill cheap stuff. Kind of like Pontiac is to GM or Oldsmobile. Pontiac or Oldsmobile, you kind of squeeze them in there. I used to laugh though. Everybody would say, Edsel, it was named after Henry Ford's daughter. No, it was named after his only son, Edsel. That's why I always liked Edsel. Those of you who know my real first name, yeah, I got a lot in common with Edsel. Sadly, though, he died in 1941, right after the war broke out. Everybody thought it was from drinking unpasteurized milk that he got off of his dad, Henry Ford's dairy, but no, it was actually stomach cancer. Errol should be able to answer my questions. I hope it was on that on the Edsel there. That was an interesting car. It was mostly plagued with transmission troubles, though. And especially in 58, when they first come out, it didn't have a horn button. The horn was on a ring. Like a lot of them back then, it was just the ring. But in the horn button was a push button the controls for the transmission. And boy, it had a lot of troubles. A lot of troubles because it was electronic on the horn button. And then it went to a vacuum modulator, and it just, yeah, in 1958. So it was way too ahead of its time, and the technology. That's what I love about those EV guys, that say, oh, yeah, technology will catch up. Well, Ford came out with that in 1958, and they didn't finally get that stuff figured out to the point where you control the radio and stuff like that on a steering wheel until what, 93? Takes a long time for technology to catch up. And they had that nasty Ford. That one would have had the Ford-O-Matic. And then they put the Mel in front of it. And it just, if it didn't have the shifting problems because of the way they run the shifter controls, that Mel put out so much torque against that slush box early automatic transmissions, they just tore them up. Other than that, they were a solid car, actually. They had a face that only a mother could love, but they were actually a pretty solid car. Let's see, I get talking and I forget where I'm at. I'm too much of a purist. To me, Edsel wasn't a Ford like Mercury and Lincoln were. Yeah, it's kind of like comparing a Pontiac to a Chevy. Quit thinking, Barrows. I can smell the belts burning over here. It does quite a bit. Hey, Dean. Merry Christmas over there in Kiwi Land. One of these days, that bird will fly. Great seeing you, man. Oldsmobile was above Pontiac, actually superior to Cadillac. That they were, especially in the very beginning. Oldsmobile was a old oh good lord, I was just gonna say his name. What uh he's got a weird name. Mr. Olds. Anyway, he was a very inventive guy way back in the beginning. Heck, Oldsmobile is the one that invented the steering wheel on the curved dash back in 19 oh oh lord. And I think it was the first American automotive company. Oh, 04, 03 is when they did away with the tiller. Back then, everything had a tiller. It was just a stick that you steered with, like a boat rudder. That's why they call it a tiller. Now, Oldsmobile figured out if you put a wheel on it, it works. But they were a solid car. Oldsmobiles were. Your good words about my tiny channel motivates me to film more. Some of my friends is Fords, most Germans, but a few British here too. Sweet. I get real excited. A lot of people here in America look at Cuba, as being able to be really inventive and everything on the car culture. But I actually look at Britain and, well, the rest of Europe pretty much, because you guys are held back with so many government restrictions, taxes that is just unreal. And to see what you guys can do with what you can do, man, it's just exciting as all get out. When we built our little 4-cylinder, I'll tell you what, we took a lot of pages from you guys over there in figuring out how to get horsepower out of a little 2.3 little Ford, or as we called them back then, 2300s. Just made it easier. What can be built with zero Chinese electronics during manufacture still yet today? At one time, it was these. The board and everything inside of them that was made in Boise, Idaho at Micron. But now, most all of it's gone over there. So I don't know. Whew, that's a tough one. Like I said, it would have went right over me. Yep, you betcha. You toss out the videos, we'll do everything we can to get them out there for you. $10.64. Oh, I think you meant 1964 there. Lincoln Continental or convertible with that 462 mil had factory foot 500 foot-pounds of torque. Yep, but if you go back 63 when they were still using the 430 mil, it had a little less torque but a lot more horsepower. When they went to the 462, they kind of went all in on torque. 64 though, that was a interesting car. Probably the reason the presidential limousines were those Lincolns. In fact, that's what Kennedy was in. But those rear suicide doors, that was just cool and all get out. My grandfather had a bunch of Chrysler 300s. All had push-button trans selectors. Yep. Actually, quite a few car companies did that. And then they got away from it. And now, lo and behold, they've all gone back to it. Heck, some of them got rid of the buttons and now it's a dial. To this day, that's hard to get used to. Pinto, yep, the little 2.3 Pinto. Or the 2.0 Pinto too, the earlier ones. But that's what we built our last sand drill out of, was a 2.3. I do have good affordable guy that rebuilds a lot of obsolete car parts like water pumps and stuff. Yep, old man Cheney. And boy, if you want any work done by him, you better hurry because he's like 95, 93, 95 years old, still working out in his shop. He's kind of an expert on Model T. But any of that old stuff, he is the man, and he rebuilds water pumps. He rebuilds, I believe he still does master cylinders, and he bought the rights to the brake shoe remanufacturer that was here in our city just north of us. And he used, I'm not sure if he can yet, but he bought all the equipment so he can reline brake shoes. So if you have like an old like a 51 Studebaker, you can reline shoes for you. Those things are weird. They're not a run-of-the-mill kind of brake shoes. Sometime I ought to jack up that old Land Cruiser of mine and pull one of the hubs off and show you. They're kind of interesting. Let's see, get caught back up here. Everything was invented in Idaho. Yeah, when you're out there working in them spud fields and plowing them along, yeah, your mind tends to do weird things. The television was invented in Idaho. Little itty bitty town of Rigby, Idaho. By what was his first name? Farnsworth is his last name. He was out plowing his field and he watched the heat waves rise up off of the potato field as he was plowing it in. And he was able to figure that out with the way it looked over the rows as the heat waves had come up. He used that concept in order to figure out how to broadcast video like radio. Yeah, pretty cool. Yep, ooh, over in Boise, out at Micron. Hewitt Packard, they're actually a ranch in Idaho. Those two guys, they own a big cattle operation up by the little town of Mackey. My cousin actually runs the ranch for them, and they're headquartered out of Boise. That's for all the computer stuff for Hewitt Packard. But a lot of people don't know it, but they run one of the largest cattle operations here in Idaho. Yep, about 30 miles away. I regret to this day that I didn't have the guts to buy a 70 Continental back in 2018. Oh man, a 70. That would have been a dang good one. It either had, let's see, 70. Yeah, that would have been a 460. And it would have either had C9 or the cream of the crop, DOVE. Actually, it's D0VE heads on it. Oh, and 70, that would have still been a close chambered block, the short block. Oh, man. That was the only one that was actually better than the 429, was the 68 to 70 Lincoln 460. But in the Fords, you had to find the 429. That was a fun year for motors. You take the cars were huge, absolutely huge, and it had a C6 transmission behind it. Oh, and that was just to die for. In comparison of what else was out there, the Mercomatic, Cruise-O-Matic, Ford-O-Matic, or as all those are better known as, the FMX. Flush box, what they are. But as soon as they launched the C series, oh, they straightened up a whole bunch of that. Yep, the Idaho Nuclear Laboratories. That's the when you hear in my videos and cousin Mike's too, when we're talking about the site around here, that's what it's called, because it's changed names so many times that we just call it the site. It's a big nuclear laboratory out in the middle of the desert. And they invented all kinds of stuff out there. The plasma cutter was invented out there on the desert, out at there at the nuclear site. They needed something that could cut stainless steel in them reactors. And that's how they come up with the plasma cutter. All kinds of other stuff too. They built a nuclear plane engine in the 50s and are currently building tiny micro reactors. Yeah, and all this time they've been working on cold fusion. And a lot of people say they got it figured out. Nuclear electricity, nuclear energy, that was all figured out there. It's only like, what is it, like 60, 70 miles from the house here. .460, but wasn't healthy. Oh, but that's a dang good block to rebuild, and it's cheap. When you're talking Ford, the 460, the 385 series, they're so much cheaper to do than an FE. Not as cheap as a Windsor, as a 302 Windsor, 351 Windsors. They're about the same price as a 385. To change, to modify. I should say that, to change and modify. As far as rebuilding, if you're going back stock, they're all about the same. Let's see, get caught back up on the chat. Like I say, I get rambling and I miss the chat. Sorry about that, guys. Dud block. There you go. 4-bolt main. Even if it had 2-bolt mains. I punished the heck out of a 385, and I know a bunch of other guys that have punished the heck out of a 385. And even a 2-bolt main, I have never seen any of them come apart on the bottom end for, going too much on the horsepower. And in fact, I've seen them take a lot more than the 454 Chevy will. But the 454 Chevy is a whole lot cheaper to build. It's hard to compete with Chevy when it comes pennies for ponies. That there is, but as soon as they get it and they develop something like that, they leave. It's like Farnsworth. When after he invented the television, he quit and he moved to California, if I remember right, Sacramento, California. He actually had to go there to get it, fully patented and developed and everything. And a lot of those people work out at the site, again, the site. And once it's kind of a rotation thing, especially when it was a Navy base. It was actually a nuclear submarine base. If you wanted to learn how to work on a nuclear sub, they sent you out in the middle of the desert, thousands of miles away from the nearest shore. So a lot of that was like military stuff, but those guys rotate in and out so much that you'll find out that it was a guy from Florida that invented the plasma cutter, but he invented it in Idaho and then took that and spread, one of those kind of wacko weird things. My neighbor's brother worked at INEL and Robotics Division. Went there in Boy Scouts. Yep. My dad worked there until 79, 78, 1978. Then he said it was the biggest mistake he ever made in his life. He quit the site out there and opened up his own shop. If he would have stayed out there at the site, oh Lord, everybody that he worked with, when they retired, they got full pensions and the whole 9 yards. Dad, he went off, opened his own shop, and went into business for himself. My dad, from 79 till about 94, didn't make any money. When you first start your own shop, oh, it takes a long time before you start making actual money. Are there a lot of old machine shops? Yep. And well, they do all of theirs on site. They deal with some pretty big stuff. But most of the guys that worked out there came and they opened their own shops, machine shops, and there's one in every little town around here. In fact, my little town of, well, Firth, Idaho, population 470 some odd, has a machine shop in it. They're scattered all over here. Oiley's Garage is his name. He's mostly a diesel mechanic. And then there's two in Blackfoot, which is what, 14 miles from me, south of me. And one, two, there's three of them in Idaho Falls. One of them in Blackfoot, he does heads for John Force. He does heads for Feld Motorsports, Gravedigger. He only takes in high-end work. Thunder Machine, very good friend of mine, very cool guy. But he's very limited on his time because he still works out at the nuclear site. But he does top-end head work. He specializes in heads. And he's got one mean little 61, 62 Ford Falcon gasser that is just, oh, beyond cool. One of these days I'll find him and I'll get some picture and some video with him. Let's see, I'll make sure here. One oil leak I found on the Blazer was the oil filter loosened up. Never seen that one before. The oil filter loosened up. 2.8. Overheat. That one is interesting. Hey, that's an easy one though. That does explain. I was watching your video on that, and it sounds like it's starting to leak when it comes up on temperature after you're driving it for a while. While you was under there with the flashlight and everything, and just sitting there idling, nothing was happening. But from the look of it, good Lord, the way she sprayed oil, definitely. Bad oil filter. Check your threads on where you screw your oil filter on, you know, the threads on there. I just thought of this one because the guy used to work for it that owns the logging company. Good Lord, he would tighten them oil filters up to like 200 foot-pounds. Well, not like that much, but I mean, to the point that some of them, I literally had to cut them off. But that part where you screw the oil filter on, check that threads and look it over real close. Sometimes when people reef them suckers down, which is stupid because it just causes them to leak, but it'll pull them threads on their the oil filter. You know what I mean. Check that over real close because sometimes it'll do that. I just thought about that. It also needs to be said that I was told that getting parts for the Lincoln here, oh yeah, anything V8, yeah. And the 350 Yeah, that GM 350, Chevy 350 is, yeah, that thing is so universal because most everything will fit off of it all the way back from 66, right? 66 was first year for the 350, all the way to, good Lord, till they went LS. And they're still making the parts to this day in abundance. That's why it's hard to beat a Chevy. Gas purelator is slipping on the oil seal. The main webs are thick on Dove compared to 460s. As of 2020, Purelator was the last American-made oil filter. That's sad. I used to really, really, really try to buy nothing but made in the USA. But the last one that got me was Timken, of all companies. I love Timken. I still use Timken. But I bought a box. It was a seal, and a whole complete thing. You know, I got the bearings, the races, and the seal. Put all that stuff in, no problem. You know, you look at them, it's stamped right in it, made in the USA. Yeah, got the box. You know, for the seal. This box said made in the USA. I opened up the box and pulled it out, and stamped right on it was made in Mexico. So I guess the box was made in the USA. But that was when I finally, you can't trust it anymore. And if I had my choice, I would rather buy stuff from Mexico or Canada. Canada makes very good stuff too. Than, from China. And another hidden wacko one, and this goes all the way back to the beginning. Don't be afraid of Taiwan. If it says made in Taiwan, because Taiwan buys their steel, or even back, 80s, 70s, Taiwan was buying their steel from us, and then they were putting it together in Taiwan. Wasn't the exact same quality as the American stuff, but it was a high quality because it wasn't Chinese steel. Because China and Taiwan have been at war with each other. It's just a war that nobody's shooting anymore because we got involved. So if you buy Taiwan, it's not Chinese steel. And they don't have their own steel. So they're buying it from better places. Max Wedge, Dick Dastardly, what's going on? Merry Christmas, man. John Elliott, right back at you, man. Merry Christmas. Oh, Lord. Whoop, I hit the button and I keep I keep doing that. Merry Christmas, Jason. Good to see you. Those same compact cars turned into a drag car are iffy scary to me, BareRose. I Corvette had some super frame for decades and fiberglass panels glued on. Yeah, the small compact car built into a hot rod. One of my favorites is the Angula, the little Ford Angulas. They look like a London black cab. Boy, but man, those little itty bitty things are just flat, smooth. Like a Henry J, too. I remember as a kid, I loved the looks of a Henry J. I always thought that was a bigger car, though. When I finally got to see one in person, holy cow, those things are tiny. I can see why drag racers wanted them back in the early days. Same with the Willies, too. Somewheres I got a picture of my grandpa and the Mallard boys, the twins, Alma and David Mallard. The three of them run around together. They were building a stock car out of a Willys coupe, like a, oh Lord, like a 3940 Willys coupe. But that's why they looked for those too, because they were just so daggum light and tiny. Mexico is still better than China. Not anything is better than China made. But boy, those Chinese can sure pump it out in a hurry. "162 Projects. What's going on? Merry Christmas, man. I've been watching your videos that you've been sticking out here lately. Good to see you, man. Good to see you're still slugging away. Taiwan is making all the electronics for the US military and Russia. Why the heat is on. China wants Taiwan back." And they always have, because Taiwan is actually China. That's why I said that civil war is still going, and all of the imperial China has left is Taiwan. Chat disappeared on the TV. Whoa, good Lord, what happened? Crazy card, the Opal. I think you mean the Opal GT. Yeah, cousin Mike had one of them, and in fact, I had one for a very little short while. It was cousin Mike's parts car. But I only had it for about, I think it was less than a week. And I sold it and my rat rod project to a guy for the money to buy the 58 Fairlane, that club sedan Fairlane. I was going to take that and stick I got an engine and transmission. Well, actually, Dad does, but I was going to work him out of it. Engine and transmission for a Grand National. But it's the early carbureted one with the turbo, little, 3.8 V6 with the turbo on it and everything. I think it's a 3.8. That one might be 4.3. I forget. I was going to take that and stick that in that little 69 Opal GT. But it was just too small in there. And I'd already traded off or sold off my, I had two turbocharged 2.3s, but I already sold them to cousin Mike. That was before I was really taking this YouTube stuff seriously. And if I would have known better, probably would have kept a hold of that little Opal. But good Lord, they are tight in the engine compartment. Taiwan is the original China. Yep. And we were treaty bound to China, the imperial China, the original China, and that's why we're still kind of wrapped up in that. And that's why you have our fleet is constantly there. It's because of that. DD Speed Chop tried a bigger engine in an Opel. Yep. Actually, he was trying the 2.3 in it, and I think he can make it work. But really, that's about as, even with that, the turbo, the way it hangs over, and the 2.3 with the intercooler up on top, like they run, eh, he's going to have some fun. When Japan took hold in China, a bunch of the population left for smaller countries. I had 3 of those little Opals, huh? There's a kind of an obscure, hard to find, even though it's right off the main highway, but you'll never see his stuff unless you know him. But there's an obscure junkyard outside of Springfield, uh, Idaho. That guy's got, oh, I would probably say two or three dozen Opel GTs. They're all lined up in 3 rows. And if you go back there, he'll tell you, yeah, just don't look at my Opals. And I mean it. If he catches you so much as looking at those things, he'd probably shoot you. But everything else, he'd care less about. And it's a private, well, it's more of a private collection of junk. And the guy's got lots of it. So none of that stuff was processed as a junkyard. So it's still, everything he has is titleable. He had a lot of county stuff, like ambulances, fire trucks, clear back into 40s, 50s, 60s. I think he worked for the county and he just got all the leftovers, brought them home. Mini Corvette. Yep, that's what I used to say to cousin Mike every time he'd pull in my driveway. He'd say, "Yeah, look, you left your Corvette in the dryer too long." But yeah, those little Opals, they're pretty interesting. One of the hardest things to do with them, though, is the rear end because they're so small. Well, nowadays, and thanks to Speedway, you can order whatever 9-inch you want. So it wouldn't be too hard nowadays to get a little 9-inch cut down and put into one. But the Mazda Miata is a lot like an Opel GT in the rear end setups because they share a lot of technology. I leave it at that. Three rows of them. I figured you guys would just be loaded with those freaky little things. They were an odd car here. They sold them at Buick dealerships, and only the Buick dealerships that had nothing to do with Chevy, because Corvette didn't want them on the same showroom or the same lot as them. So they were kind of hard to find, and they were a little hard to get parts on because they were real short-lived in the United States. And then through the 70s and 80s, they pretty much wiped them out, kind of like Fiat did. When our regulations and everything started to hit hard, it got hard for a lot of those companies to meet U.S. auto manufacturing standards. Or they didn't have enough, of a lineup that they could fudge all of that stuff by averaging the whole lineup, if you know what I mean. A guy back in Iowa was a neat Nash Metropolitan with a supercharger, 4.3 with a mini tub. Thing is nuts and very well done. That is cooler than I'll get out. That is one of my favorite cars too, that really bitty little Nash Metropolitan. Speaking rare, have you seen the 505 Peugeot over there? Nope. Actually, that guy with the Opals, he does have a couple Peugeots out there. One of them, this is really weird, but you go in the back and you open it up and it had a Kickstarter on it. And it was powered by a little 2-cycle engine. I have no idea what it was, what model it was, what year it was, but it's just kind of cool. I think it's a 3-wheeler. I don't think it's 4 wheels. If it is 4 wheels, it's that one with the 2 back that are way up tight. And then it's the 2 fronts are out wider. But a little narrow car. Almost like I thought it was an Isetta, the BMW Isetta with the front of the car opens up for the door, because it does that too. The front opens up, but it's not. It's a Peugeot. So it must be the Peugeot version of the BMW Isetta. Little tiny little 12-inch wheels on it and 3 lug nuts. uh, There's an awesome guy in California that runs an Opel parts store in a junkyard. And restores the nicest guy to deal with. Yep. And if you need anything, yeah. In fact, if any of you are, if you know how to get a hold of Cousin Mike there and you're restoring an Opel GT, he can get you into contact with some very good people for that. They still send him letters and stuff, and he hasn't had his Opel for quite a while. Thanks for coming in, 162. Keep swinging out there, and Merry Christmas to you, man. Wendy, what's going on? You're on your lunch break? They're making you work on Christmas Eve. I'll be dadgummit. I hope they're giving you triple time. Me and my friend built one like a gasser. Buick rocket motor. Oh, wow. You still got pictures of it? Yeah, that is screwy. I see why they got those great big hubcaps to cover them up. You pop them up and go, whoa, what the heck? What's going on, first responder? Great to see you, man. Merry Christmas. There it is. Opal GT Source. And if I remember right, you give them a list of stuff you're looking for, and they log you. That you send them all the information on your car, the stuff that you need or anything like that, and they log it for you. And if they catch, it's kind of like back in the old days when you used to put stuff out on the go to the junkyard and put stuff on the wire. Same thing. And if they can't find, if they don't have it, they'll find it for you. And anything that comes along that is upgraded, they send you a mail immediately for it. Many small cars, motorcycle-based things in Central Europe, but I don't think they could hold up on our winter weather. Oh, good Lord. You guys get some pretty brutal weather. Here in America, oh, back in the early years, there was a lot of cycle cars because there was a loophole. If you had a car, you had to have a license. But motorcycles and cycle cars, you didn't need a driver's license for. So you can kind of see where why they were so popular back in the very beginning. And you didn't have to register them, all kinds of stuff like that. So a lot of people that go that route just to get away from registration, or maybe they didn't want a driver's license, or yeah, some of them just flat didn't have one, or this county, city, or state said, yeah, you don't need a driver's license anymore. But now everything's got to be registered, so they kind of petered out through, I think the last cycle car company was 53, 54. But now they're coming back. Thanks to Canada. Can-Am. They're building those freaky little three-wheeled cycle cars now. Yeah, like I said, that company, very good company. Prices, well, anything Opel is going to be spendy. The prices are a little bit on the upside, but I'll tell you what, their customer service, just like you're saying here, unbeatable. Sand Mountain Ballistics, what's going on? Merry Christmas over there. I'm pretty sure you're not getting a white Christmas, but if you want some of this white stuff out here, come and get it. We got pretty dumped on there yesterday. Well, we got a good sized dusting. There's still a large cycle car following here in the States. Like I said, Can-Am's bringing it back. Those freaky little, what do they call them? Spider, or I forget the name of them. There's a guy that lives all the way up the road from me that's got one, and it's a black one. It looks weird. Looks like the Looks like that new Batmobile just shrunk down. You see him riding it in summertime. He's got a Pontiac vibe too. That is one cool little Pontiac. Looks, about like a Miata, about the same size as a Miata, but it's got more, I don't know, I'd have to say more first generation Corvette inspiration going on to it. I like that Pontiac vibe, even though they only made a handful of them. Same guy that designed the PT Cruiser. Can you imagine that? But he's also the one that ushered in the whole retro thing. And then Ford relaunched the two-seater Thunderbird, which I don't mind. I kind of like that car for a new car. And of course, Mustang followed in, which I thought was a godsend. I know a lot of people love the Fox body. And the things you can do to a Fox body, don't get me wrong, is absolutely amazing. But I cannot stand the Fox body Mustang. I'm sorry, guys. To me, it looks like a Ford Tempo. A Mustang is supposed to look like a P-51 Mustang. That's where the name comes from. It's got to have some of that in there. When they come out with the Fox body and they took the intake, look out of the grill, I'd rather have a Mustang too, because in the front it still kind of looks like the spirit of a Mustang. Yep, right there with you, Sand Mountain. Now, the things you can do to a Fox body, yeah, there's a reason that everybody drag races them and races them around, because they're super simple and super easy to work on. And they opened up the engine bay finally. So yeah, that was a big one. So you can finally put a real engine in them. But they lost the look. And then when they went back to it, oh, yep. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. Maybe it was a Solstice. I can't pronounce that anyway. The Vibe. Was it the Vibe or the Solstice? Solstice. There. Like I said, they look like kind of a cross between a Miata and a first gen Corvette. Let's see, you get caught back up here. You can make a Mustang too look like an old Mustang with a little work, tuck in bumpers, welded up marker lights and louvers. And that little Mustang too is lighter than a Fox body. So the weight transfer and weight distribution on them is a little bit tricky to play with. But if you can figure out how to get them to hook, which you can, it just takes more work. That little Mustang too, I swear you could beat every Fox body out there with a Mustang too. But it's going to take some work. Ollie's Garage is he's got a little Mustang too with a tunnel ram in it. Oh man, little. I think it's a. Don't quote me. I think it's a 302. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful little car. You get to ride with him as he's driving along with it too. If any of you haven't checked out Ollie's Garage, go give him a like, subscribe. You'll love his videos. The Solstice was a two-seater. I think that's the one I'm actually thinking of. I almost died when Dodge came out with the Shelby Charger back in 80. Wow, what year was it? 80. I'm trying to think of Cannonball Run 2, because that's how they announced it. Frank Sinatra was driving a Shelby Charger at the very end of the movie when he passes Dino and Sammy Davis in the little Ferrari. You know, they were priests in that little boxer Ferrari. So that would have been 84, 85. I'm too young. So for me, the Fox body is what I remember from the movies, especially the later ones with more styling. And really, the Fox body looks like a Falcon, the Australian Falcons. When I was doing my models, I used to build a lot of models. I took a Fox body Mustang and made my Mad Max car out of it because you couldn't get the Falcon. The Solstice is an Opel GT in Europe. So when they came over here, Pontiac took them instead of Buick. Because if I remember right, Buick still owns the Opel, I think. Well, GM anyway, you know. Yeah. 70 Mach 1, 351 Cleveland. That it does, but I don't like the car. And I'll tell you what, oh, change spark plugs in one of them, a 70 or a 71 Mustang with a Cleveland in it. Yeah, change spark plugs on them one time. Oh. We did one for a guy, a total restoration on one for a guy in Reno. Took it off, put it on the rotisserie. Rex, my boss at the time, well, I came in at the very, very end of that, the assembly part of that, and the very, very, very end. And then was with him to deliver it all the way down into Reno. But yeah, putting the spark plugs on that thing, changing exhaust, or in that case, it was installing exhaust manifold gaskets. Those damn shock towers you got that much room in between them and the exhaust. Yeah, try to get in there and pull a spark plug out or anything. But that is one of my favorite engines, the 351 Cleveland. Oh yeah, the 335 series. It's funny how Ford classifies them. 385, well, that's the length of the stroke of a 460. 335, that's the length of stroke for a 351. Even though the 400 came out a little later. But the 400 has got nothing to do with the 351 Cleveland and the 351 regular or M modified. Those ones just have, they're in a category all themselves. Oh, get caught back up on the chat there again. All right, I gotta go work on Linda. Much love, everyone. Thanks for stopping in. Linda, well, you're working on the real BRG's car. Way cool. Merry Christmas to you, and thanks for coming in, man. Power shift, Ford top loader. You won't miss gears. Strange shifter for geometry they used. I got to make my own linkage and everything for my top loader. I'm going to adapt it to that 3-speed mystery shifter that I got. I'm going to run the 4 forward gears on that because a 3-speed shifter will work for either one because it's only controls 4. Reverse just happens to be in the mix. So I'm going to run the forward gears off of that shifter. I'm going to put another shifter in it for the reverse. So you'll have to put it in neutral on the main shifter, the forward gear shifter. Put that into neutral, then you reach up and pull that lever, the other shifter, to put it in reverse. I'm doing it that way so I don't have the pushover for reverse. So when I want it, it's just right there, push it over, and I'll never risk going too far and hitting reverse. Either way, let's see, forward. It's out of a 66 Fairlane GT 390. Way cool. I'm going to have to change the input shaft for a small block one. The second gear needs replaced. I got everything I need the other day. Sweet! That 390 and a 66. Yeah, that's a good one. Look on your intake manifold, right by the thermostat. That first runner that comes out, and it's also where your firing order is and everything. In between the thermostat and the carburetor plenum there, look and see if there's an S cast into it. If there's an S cast into it there, don't bother getting Edelbrock Performer intake or any of that stuff for it, unless you're going to go all out and get like the RPM intake or the air gap. Other than that, you pretty much got it right there already. Hey, look at there. Yes. Speak of him and he shows on up. What's going on, Ollie? Great to see you. If you hurt reverse while shifting a top loader, you've done something really wrong. I was trying to remember the shift pattern in my head here. Yeah, it goes this way. And it depends on the way you run the linkages and everything from the shifter. But yeah, it's over. And those top loaders, they'll take quite a bit. They're very comparable to a Muncie. And the thing I like about them is they are basic. Even easier to work on than a Muncie. You can have one out, drop it on the ground, pull it over, totally rebuild it, stick it back in the car. Oh, even if you've never done it before, you could probably do it in a day. Just beyond easy. Top loaders I found were the bushings and the ball and socket. Where the bush, I bet that's, yeah, okay. Yeah, I get caught back up here in the chat here. There we go. The T10 was a tough one. I want a super T10 for my Pontiac. Still searching though, huh? You should do one of them channels like the other BRG where you work on cars. It would be neat. I need to do one of them because I need to get out there and work on my dang car. My dad gave the best advice a long time ago. The secret to building a car is you got to go out and work on it every day. Even if it means just going out and sitting in the chair and looking at it and planning stuff out. You have to do that every single day. Because if you take a day off, it's easy to take another day off. And then it's easy to take a week off. Then it's easy to take a month off. Then you go in there and look at it, and it's got boxes stacked up on top of it, and it's been 6 months, a year. If you do something every day, though, like I said, even if you're just going to go out and look at it for 5, 10, 20 minutes, you got to keep it in your head to keep doing it. Otherwise, it just gets pushed off and then nothing happens. A lot of super stock guys ran the T10, cutting every other tooth off the synchronizers. I've heard about that trick. Could not find a dang 4-speed for sale all summer, and now I own 3. Isn't that the way it goes? Usually, while I'm looking for stuff like that, if I got the money, I can't find them. If I ain't got no money, then they show up for like, hey, can you take this for like $50? Well, not quite like that, but you get what I mean. Good Lord, that's why I do not actually like restoration, because I'll put whatever I can put in it just to make it go. I like that flexibility. But numbers matching, ugh, I do not like that kind of work. That, and I've seen way too many numbers matching cars that never leave the garage. And most of them don't run under their own power. And most of them are all in pieces because people are looking for that one little piece. And they won't do anything else until they find that one little piece. Old man, is that to make it power shift smoother? Well, it looks like we'll go on for about another, I don't know, a little while longer. Like I said, I got the link posted up there. If anybody else wants to come on in, hop on in. We'll chat here for a little bit longer. I'm just making sure here. Generally, I like to go until about the time that Uncle Tony starts up, so that way everybody can just kind of move on over. And the secret to that is I look over at the far this side column on the YouTube homepage, and it tells me who's live. It's got the little live symbol, and I watch that until I see somebody else is going live at about the end of my lives, and then I'll kick it off and then try to direct everybody over to them, whoever it is. So you won't miss a gear doing that. You just can't granny shift it after you do that. Boy, I'll tell you though, that is the beauty of a standard transmission is you can make it shift when you want to shift, how you want to shift. I know an automatic you can just hit that and hit that and hit that, but it's all working through the hydraulics and everything. So it's kind of doing a combination of the clutch with it. But if if you know how to use the clutch in all circumstances and how to shift for all circumstances, the power is in your hand with a manual. The hard thing though is trying to find people that know how to shift a manual transmission to that extent. I know I thought I was pretty good at a manual transmission because I can make the car go and I can make the car stop. And I also knew that you downshifted for the brakes, so you very rarely had to do a brake job. But that was just driving it. When I got into drag racing with it, though, I got my butt handed to me constantly. And finally, my dad, my godfather, my dad's best friend, he said, "What? Get in there and show him how to drive." Uh, I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. I can drive. I can make this. So Dad got in and kind of reluctant to show me because when you really learn how to shift them things, you tend to wear things out a little faster. But boy, when he showed me how to actually shift, yeah, the whole world opened up for me. And I found out what little bit or how much I thought I knew was just a drop of the bucket. Thanks for coming in, Ollie. You're more than welcome anytime. Tell everybody there, Merry Christmas from all of us. Hello, Neverboard. Merry Christmas, man. S10 Addict. I still got a few of them rolling around out here. One of these days, I got to get that little Blazer, or no, it's not a Blazer. It's actually a Jimmy. Little, what would be an S15 Jimmy? GMC, they had to have that extra 5 on the S series. I don't know why, but I got to get that in, and I got to change the I got to, yeah, again on a manual transmission. I gotta I gotta yeah, the wife blew that one up, so I gotta put an engine back in it. She blew it up because she was lugging it. You lug a 2.8 too much, and yeah, it builds up so much head pressure on it. It just, yeah, popped the head gasket, and then she drove it from Rexburg home. That's a good 45 minutes, 45, 50-minute drive. On the way home, she lost all the coolant about 30 miles from home, so yeah, thing's done. But that's how she killed it, lugging it. Not knowing when to downshift. Keep them R's up. uh, no problem at all, Mohawk. Thanks a lot, bunch, for coming in. Hope your Christmas is very merry. I need a non-stick heater box for I need a non-AC, sorry. I need a non-AC heater box for a square body S10. I got one. Non-AC. Yeah, I think that I'd have to think. I think that Durango out back has got one in it. Durango. That was actually Chevy S10. 80, I think it's an 84, 85. It's a base model, is what it is. Has a little 2.8 with a 4-speed, no overdrive. But I think that one is. I can't tell you the condition of the heater core or anything like that, but it's still on the firewall. I'll have to take a look. But if you want it, just pay the shipping on it. Send me look up my email on my homepage. It's JUSKIM73 at yahoo.com. But if you need that, or if you just want the hot link, easy to do, it's on my about page. Just pay for the shipping on it. That's all I want out of it. If it can do you some good, yeah. And again, I'll take a look. But send me an email with your contact and everything, and I'll snap pictures of it too and send them to you. Laboring a motor is a killer. Yep. And especially the smaller the engine is. Oh, I don't think I can shift like you were talking about. But manual transmission was European standard. Yep. Anywhere else in the world you go, It's all manual. And you get a lot better mileage out of a manual because you're using all the horsepower, all the torque. Well, not all of it, but a whole lot more of it. And you learn how to drive them for economy as well as for, there's all kinds of ways you can drive them. And you don't have to push a button. It's all up here in your head. You can get some dang good mileage out of them. Heck, that's how I was able to get 27 miles per gallon out of my '01 Dodge Cummins four-wheel drive because it was a manual transmission. It was an utter pain driving it in town, though, because, you shift twice going through an intersection. Just coming off a stoplight. Just woof, 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 woof. There was only about 500 RPM, if that, difference between all gears. It had the 6-speed. And they were dang close ratio. Truck rate might be a good deal. Less the load. Hold on, parts. I will get with you on that. Yeah, no problem. Like I said, if it can help you out, I know where there's another one, but it is an AC one. I scrapped probably 6 of those little trucks. We use the chassis for other things, but the guy that I give all my sheet metal to, I just pull the bed, the cab, front fenders, and nose clip and everything, throw it in the bed, and then throw it on a little trailer and took it over to his house. And he only lives like 200 yards from the house. And he's still got 3 of those ones. And now, sadly, he went blind. So he can't do anything anymore. He was using them for spares for his race truck. He races a little S10, or used to drag race it. It's got a little 68 350 in it. Boy, he was good with that. But sadly, diabetes took his vision, so now he can't do much anything. And he went deaf, too. So he's blind and deaf. Poor old Wayne. You hear me talk about him in my videos every now and then and on these lives. In fact, him and my dad made B&B Racing. My dad did all the mechanic work and pit work for him, and he drove. He had that one, and he had a 67 Camaro that he raced. The Camaro was stupid fast. Hey, Dino. Hey, there we go. Did he get it?
not good at all.
It's just exciting.
That's terrible.
Things and just be like, yeah, I'm it.
Look at that sunny weather down there.
You're all right. What are you doing, Dave?
Taking photos of you guys, sending them to the Americans so that you're really good at it. Don't mess with the Kiwi because they do target practice all the time.
Are you showing?
Yeah. Well, they're not friends. They're not friends. They're just acquaintances. They don't really know me. Christmas in the future. This is how it's going.
That's what it looks like for Christmas, huh? I'll be jagged down.
Let's see all the invisible snow we've got around here. Look, there's Daisy.
Flowers are blooming, the clover's out. Look at that.
That's right.
Man.
But this is what it's like on the wrong side of Earth.
Oh, we sure wish you all a Merry Christmas there.
All right, thank you.
Looks like you're sure having a good time. Did you get that for Christmas?
What's that?
Did you get that for Christmas?
Oh yeah, I got chips. They gave me food.
When you reach a certain age, that's pretty good having it right there. Oh boy. So Christmas looks like it's going to be pretty good this year. Old Dean give us a sneak peek. I like the green snow, the same we have. Actually, it's been pretty warm right up until yesterday. And it's actually warmer than it normally is. But we got hit with some snow. That's who I got my tracker from. Yep, old Wayne. I told you, I've been after you for about, what was it? About a year now to get you to go over there and get that little tracker from him. Invisible snow. We were 65 here in North Carolina today. Oh, sometimes I just deeply regret, well, I very much deeply regret not moving to, well, it was just outside of Asheville. We were looking at a property there that bordered up onto a lake. Oh, beautiful little chunk of ground. Had a little manufactured home on it, but it was on like 12 acres, 10, 12 acres of land. Right up against you could see the Smokies out there, or they call them the Smokies, the Appalachian Mountains there. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm sure that's about what it is there now too. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that's where it is cold, is when that sun isn't up. Yeah, single digits. That's about 4 hours west. Oh, you're right up along the coast, huh? I shoot the wind, come out broadside of barn. Looked like that little guy was getting some pretty good form out of it there, though. Secret of shooting a bow is roll the pocket, just like shooting a handgun. but you do it on your offhand. Get it to set right in the spot of your fork of your hand like that, where you can push on it and it pushes straight back. It's not pulling your hand back either way. Once you get that right, the rest is gravy. Figure out where to hold the bow there, and then where your anchor is. I generally shoot right off of that little spot right there where your jawbone kind of sticks out a little bit. When my finger hits that, it's time to release. Catch both of those the right exact all the time, you'll be robbing in them arrows. Fun to hang out, but I forgot that I was quite sleepy. So I think I better disconnect here and join my bed. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you there too, Eric. Looking forward to the next live. Good night. Thanks for coming in, brother. Thanks a million for coming out. Like I said, great channel, great guy. He doesn't have a whole lot of videos, but the ones that he's got, pretty doggone cool. Johnny, see what's going on, man? Merry Christmas to you. Yeah, with that, I think we'll wind her down for this week. I don't see. Well, there we go. Busted Radio. Copy that. Looks like Busted Radio's garage has got a premiere coming up here reels just in about 6 minutes here. Gotta bump it here. There we go. One of these days I'll figure out how to get that little emoji heart out of the way. Replace pin message. There we go. We'll all cruise on over to BRG's place there and watch his premiere and show him a little bit of support and give him some Christmas cheer. In the meantime, everybody, thanks for coming out. And I hope you all have a super great and Merry Christmas. And we can get a whole lot of stuff done and with your families and everything. And next week, it's first of the year, New Year's. We all know what that means for the No Name Nationals, guys. That's when John possibly will put a little number up on that orange piece of paper. So let's all join over to Busted Radio for his premiere, and we'll catch you all next week. Thanks a million for coming out. This whole year has been fantastic, and really, you guys are carrying me through this week because I've been a lazy dang fool and haven't put out a whole lot of videos. I sure appreciate you all for sticking with me, and that was the best Christmas present anybody could have gave me. So you guys watching my videos, thank you very much, and we'll catch you all over there, and we'll keep some metal hot on him. Thanks for coming out.